PC gamers have already had a pretty good year in 2016, from multi-platform games to new exclusive to even older console games finally coming to PC. There's been a lot of great titles released this year so far. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the top 10 best PC games of 2016 so far. Let's get right into this. Number 10, Ashes of the Singularity. Strategy games have been a centerpiece of PC gaming for a long time now. Ashes of the Singularity adds to the PC's stellar library. The game is absolutely massive in scale, thousands of units fighting across very vast maps. Even for someone that isn't a big fan of strategy games, I found the game extremely engaging, engrossing, and challenging, but never frustrating. The single-player story is pretty poor, but from a gameplay and visual standpoint, Ashes of the Singularity absolutely nails it. Number 9, Superhot. Superhot is one of the most unique games in a long time. The game features traditional first-person shooter mechanics, but time is a big aspect in Superhot. Time only moves when the player moves. This allows you to assess every situation and respond accurately. It's a very interesting game, and while the mechanics are not perfect, stylistically the game is fantastic. The visuals, while simplistic, also add a level of charm to the game. The major issue with Superhot is the lack of content. The game is $25 and it's also very short. However, the game's replay value is pretty high and it's a game you'll go back and play multiple times. If you're looking for something unique and somewhat simplistic, Superhot will be right up your alley. Number 8, Oxenfree. Oxenfree is the debut title for Night School Studio. The game is set on an abandoned island which a group of teenage friends visit for a party. But obviously things go awry, supernatural beings are introduced, and I don't want to get more into it since this is a very story-driven game. In reality, the gameplay is very few and far between. However, for those that like a well-flowing story, Oxenfree is excellent. The voice acting is great and they really portray teenagers in a believable and realistic way. The art and visuals are also very good. Oxenfree was one of the surprise hits of 2016, so if you haven't given the game a look, give it a shot.
Killed over 3 days ago. It was all over the news. Local news, anyway. Oldest living resident. Her family's been moving back and forth on the ferry, getting all of her crap.
Oh, that's sort of a bummer.
Yeah, well,
Number 7, Homeworld Deserts of Karak. Homeworld is another strategy game and a very old school series on PC. In 2016, Homeworld saw a brand new entry in Deserts of Karak, which is a prequel to the original game. The game is very accessible to those that don't play strategy games much, but it's not overly simplistic. The game's mechanics aren't groundbreaking by any means. Again, this is a part of a nearly 20-year-old franchise, but the gameplay still works well in 2016. The campaign is excellent and it has a great story. If you're looking to get into strategy games, Deserts of Karak is a great option. Number 6, Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is a roguelike dungeon crawler where you manage characters as they explore dungeons. The game is played with a mix of real-time movement and turn-based combat. Darkest Dungeon is extremely challenging. There are many times you might be frustrated. Some will stop playing the game entirely. However, those that stick with it will find a very rewarding experience. The game is very tactical and it requires a lot of thought and planning in what you do. Darkest Dungeon is a very absorbing game experience, and those that stick with it will find something great. Number 5, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Dragon's Dogma was one of the cult classic games on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The game was originally released back in 2012, and for a long time, PC gamers have clamored for a release, but to no avail. Finally, after years of waiting, Dragon's Dogma finally arrived to PC back in January in what was by far the most optimal version of the game. Now featuring higher resolutions, better visuals, and a much more smooth frame rate, Dragon's Dogma on PC delivered big from a technical standpoint. The game itself is often compared to Dark Souls. It's very challenging and features the same grandiose boss fights. The world is also fairly big, allowing for a lot of exploration. The hack and slash combat is good, and keep in mind, this is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, so it includes the base game as well as the DLC, so it's a hell of a package. Number 4, Stardew Valley. When a compelling and well-crafted indie game achieves a high level of commercial success, it's a great thing, and that's exactly what happened with Stardew Valley. The game is a farming simulation inspired by the likes of Harvest Moon and Rune Factory. You begin by making your character and starting off with a bit of land and a small house. The game is filled with content, giving the player an abundant amount of activities and different things to do without ever getting extremely repetitive. The game also has a very active modding community, making Stardew Valley a game that you can spend hours upon hours on. Sure, the graphics may not be the best compared to the standard today, but artistically it's fantastic to look at and its old school look works. Stardew Valley is another one of the surprise hits of the year, and it's one that you must play. Number 3, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider was originally released on the Xbox One in 2015 and it came over to PC back in January. Serving as the follow-up to the superb 2013 reboot, Rise of the Tomb Raider follows the same style as the previous game but with refinements to the gameplay. Now the game is much more diverse, allowing the player to tackle objectives in multiple ways, the world is much bigger, and the story is much more engaging. The game is exhilarating and action-packed. However, if you didn't enjoy the 2013 game, Rise of the Tomb Raider probably won't change your mind. But let's be honest, the 2013 game was great, and Rise of the Tomb Raider, while remaining very similar, also improves in nearly every area. Number 2, Black Desert Online. MMORPGs are also a centerpiece to PC gaming, although it's also a genre that's been relatively stale for the past few years. Black Desert Online was one of the most anticipated MMOs in a long time. It's a Korean MMO that's been out since 2014, but it only came stateside back in March. The one thing that you'll notice right off the bat about BDO is the amazing graphics. This is one of the best looking MMOs you will ever see. And the detail from the character customization to the world itself is top notch. If you're into MMOs, Black Desert Online should be at the top of your to-play list. Finally, number 1, XCOM 2. XCOM Enemy Unknown was a terrific game, and when it was announced that Firaxis Games would be developing a sequel, now a PC exclusive, most were expecting an excellent game. XCOM 2 in a lot of ways is very similar to the previous game, but like with Rise of the Tomb Raider, that's not really a bad thing. Firaxis have made many improvements to the mechanics, creating a much more polished product. The different difficulty options allow accessibility to all players, whether you want the game to really hold your hand or you want more of a challenging experience creating much more tension, XCOM 2 offers all of that. The game did have some technical issues at launch, however, since then the game has been greatly improved, so at this point this is a very easy recommendation. So that wraps up the top 10 best PC games of 2016 so far. What do you think? Do you agree with our list? Disagree? Did we forget to mention a game? Comment your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching and goodbye.